Our show tonight is being sponsored by Arthur Sherman Dumas, who has a new book that just came out today called Family Matters. So it is available. If you go to Amazon, you can find the book. Um, it's a nonfiction book about family. So our next guest is along. Actually, sometimes the guests kind of their subject matter ends up being related to each other, but it's not intentional. It's not planned. It just ends up being that way. But our next guest is Nicole S. Palmer, and she has a book that sometimes when I see comments about it, it triggers some people. But her book is called "Playing the Game While Black." Oh, but while Black womaning in corporate America. So it's about Black women in corporate America. And that's what Gloria alluded to some of that too in her comments. And I know Rhonda's dissertation was about Black women. What was the treatise that you had, Rhonda?
Death of the Angry Black Woman Syndrome and how it affects African American female leaders in the corporate arena.
Yeah, so it's more corporate. So I was never in corporate. Well, let me say this, not never. It was really so short, right after my college graduation, that it was not really significant. And I knew I wanted to go the entrepreneur route anyway, so I wanted to do it as soon as possible, which I did. So I didn't think I could work in a corporate environment because I'm not um, hmm, I can follow instructions, but I don't like being controlled. So that doesn't work in corporate. And you have to know yourself. So
I'm a little smart about that work. I just know how to do it.
You got to play the game.
yeah, I'm not good at that. So I didn't want to waste time bumping my head up against the wall. And when I already knew I wanted to be in business, so that I already knew it at 15 years old. I knew that's what I wanted. So there was no point in me getting
I
into
don't know, but we're gonna let Nicole.
Yeah.
In any realm, whether you're in business, whether you're in corporate, you're going to have to in certain ways police what you're seeing. I mean,
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
I never had a problem with that. That's not it. I have a low tolerance for BS. Like it, and so if
Yeah.
people are just if it's not working, I'm not good at pretending like something's working just because of the whoever it is. And so I mean, you always have somebody you have to answer to, even as an entrepreneur, you have to answer to your customers, but it's a different relationship. So anyway, Nicole, you have a copy of your book
Yes.
handy that you can show us.
Yeah, I can show you the
Yeah.
if I
And
can
so, put it
pull
closer
it
to
back.
your body,
Okay.
closer to your body.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
All
Mm.
right.
And so, I'm assuming that you're in corporate America. I'm
Yes.
assuming that you spent
Hmm.
some time in corporate America. I won't
Yeah.
ask you which corporation, but which industry. I'll ask which type of industry.
Yeah, so I do consulting work now. So I'm still in
Mhm.
corporate, but not in corporate.
Okay.
So I work through a couple of different agencies, and I decided once I put me through the ringer this last time, that's how I was going to move from going forward.
Okay. So is that what the emphasis was for you sitting down and writing your book?
Oh no, funnily enough, I wrote this book while I was on medical leave from the corporate job that shall not be named. We're not gonna name and shame them, but yeah.
Okay.
So I was on medical leave,
don't do
and
that.
that's when I wrote the book, trying to figure out my life and why I was killing myself for a job that wasn't checking for me. And that's really where the book came about. And then I decided in the process of doing that I wasn't going back to that job. So I made a decision to walk away after medical leave and just focus on consulting and building my own brand and my company, because that is just, like you said, like, I mean, fortunately for you, you learned early on that that wasn't for you. I knew, but was pretending. I think I was in denial for a while. And so now, full circle, I decided that when we're in corporate America, we're not building our own dreams, we're building somebody else's dream, right? And so I
Mhm.
learned that I'm still gonna get them checks from corporate America, but they're gonna fund my passions and my dreams, and that's how I chose to do it differently now.
Okay, so what do you think about Black women, we Black women, that
Look,
gives us so much of a challenge in some of these settings?
I don't think it's Black women specifically. I think it's how we're perceived. And I think the biggest thing is that there's this notion that we are all the same person. And
Okay.
so, because there's this belief that we all act the same, we all react the same to no matter what the situation, that's why all these stereotypes get applied to us. So it doesn't matter where you go, and I always say this, I say I'm Black first, woman second. Like that's a double-edged sword, especially in corporate spaces. And so I've been told, like literally by coworkers, Nicole, if I didn't know you, the way your eyes get wide when you're just explaining something, I'd be scared. Then these are people that know me for years. And just, we can't be too expressive because that could be intimidating. We can't be too loud because then we're yelling. And then somebody will be in your face, which has literally happened to me, pointing their finger. And that's okay because they don't look like you. And so there's this notion that all Black women are equal in terms of like how we behave, how we conduct ourselves, and therefore we're all treated equally, wrongly, but we're all treated equally. And so all the stereotypes get painted on top of us, no matter who we are. The moment we're a Black woman, we're angry. We, are disrespectful, we're insubordinate, we're unprofessional. All of the isms that you can think of also get applied to us. So I've seen it happen too often to not to like we can't pretend that that's not what it is. And it
Hmm.
doesn't matter where you are, even though the book that I wrote was specifically corporate America. I've had people in other countries reach out and tell me, you literally told my life. And so it just goes to show that it doesn't matter where in the world we are as a Black woman, we're still a Black woman. And therefore, yeah.
Yeah, there are some assumptions that people make
Hmm.
about when they see you, they have assumptions that they make, not knowing you at all.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they people will think they're giving you a compliment
Mm.
when they really are insulting you.
Okay. You're so well spoken. You're so eloquent.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
number of
that, yeah,
times I've had
yeah.
people
Mm,
like the look on their face when they realize that the person who showed up is because my name does not sound Black. I love
yeah,
when
yeah.
people say that. Nicole
Oh,
Palmer, that could be anything. And
mm.
I'm so well mannered and spoken on the phone. So I show up, I know right quick which way it's going to go just by the expression on their face.
Well, that happened to me when I was before I became an entrepreneur.
Mm,
My first name is Guinevere, so my name is not Black, and my resume was not. There was nothing on my resume
yeah.
to let someone know that I was
Okay.
Black. I wasn't trying to hide anything. It just, you know, the school I went to, my organizations,
Hmm.
because I went to a PWI, so that's part of it too. But
Yeah.
this was back when they did phone interviews. You show up on the phone. You feel like after the interview on the phone, it's just a formality for
Hmm.
you to show up, and the job is yours.
Yep.
You show up, and the person was clearly not expecting you
Hmm.
to
Too
walk
many
in, and
times.
then there's a backpedal about either the job is no longer available or
Hmm.
you wouldn't be a good fit or whatever. When on the phone, I was in there,
It was excited, right? And then you show up like, wait a minute, who's the person we talked to on the phone? Where's she at?
Yeah.
I had all, what, 2 or 3 interviews for my job over the phone. So
Mm.
they saw me on my first day of work.
Ooh, and that's something.
Oh,
I told
wow.
them better allow me surprise one day.
And it wasn't a video interview.
Nope, it wasn't a
So
video
they
in the
never saw they never saw a picture. And see, this was before
right.
social media, before
Mhm.
LinkedIn and all that. There was no internet
Oh,
when I was.
I don't put for me, I don't put they might have been able to find me on so I don't hide on social media.
Mhm.
My social media is open because I'm an author. Uh,
Mhm.
and before I got this job, I was pretty much out there. And I had my business on my resume. So they might have seen a picture of it.
Mhm.
But it's not like I put I'm an African American woman on my resume.
Right.
I did say I was
You
a part of a sorority, and if they knew anything about sorority life, which they probably didn't,
probably didn't. Mhm.
Mhm.
yeah.
So you didn't lead with that.
But my voice is kind of when I talked on the phone, I'm quite sure that they but I don't know, my professional voice is kind of like
Yeah,
this. So
yeah. I have actually had a person that I called tell the person that I was asking for is some white woman wants to talk to you. They didn't mute it or anything. So you have your professional speaking voice, and then you have your voice when you're talking
Yeah.
to your girlfriends and all of that, and that's normal.
mhm.
But uh, so what are some of the tips in your book, Nicole?
Yeah, so my book is built around 7 rules. And so I
Okay.
have 7 unspoken rules that, to me, if you have ever worked in corporate as a Black woman, they all apply to you. And so that's how I framed the book, because when I started thinking about the fact that this is literally all a game, I had to think about it from that framework and say, well, what does that mean then? Like, what are the rules of this game that we all play just to, keep the bills paid and whatever and so on? And the first thing that, to me, like rule one is like foundational. It's like we don't talk about it. So nobody talks about playing the game. Like we all know there's a game and we all understand that. And when you walk into corporate, like some of the things you learn as you go, like certain people are away, and you sometimes find out by accident, right? Because maybe you speak up in a meeting and then they don't say anything in the meeting, but then they go back to your boss and say something because they didn't appreciate what you said or you disagreed with them. And so sometimes you don't learn about it until after the fact. And we don't necessarily share those learnings across the board because I think we're all so busy trying to like keep up our defenses as Black women in corporate America. So we're not going to be there unless we share that look across the way. Like we might be sitting in a meeting together and you across the way and I'm looking at you and we have that knowing. We're not always very aware of what's happening until after the fact, unfortunately. And so I do break down all the things that I learned just from this last corporate job that took me through the ringer, because I'm hoping that I can help one Black woman, at least one, avoid what I went through. And I mean, I know it's reached several more, but that was really my goal. Is like if I could just help one Black woman to keep them from doing what I did to myself, and seeing it coming, because you see the signs ahead of time, but you still try to like pretend like it's not really happening. And I literally have to end up in a hospital to like, oh, this job is actually really trying to kill me. And I'm sitting here like allowing it to happen because I believe that if I can like outwork myself out of my situation, because I had that whole like pet to thread that Keisha Thomas and her colleagues talk about, where I was like the best since sliced bread, and then I disagreed with her one time, and it all went left. And yeah, so she made it her mission to just like destroy me, and she almost did, and I almost let her. But I got out in time, and I poured it out into this book because I really need us to understand that they're not checking for us. I think this is the most visible example of the fact that corporate America is not checking for Black women. Look at how many of us have lost our jobs. We're pushed out of our, gainful employment with the destruction of DEI. That to me is like very resoundingly is saying what we have known all along. Corporate is not checking for Black women. Not in that way,
Hmm.
unless they're trying to prop you up in something, or they're trying to like put up like this front, like they're really like, diversity and inclusion. And I'm not saying there aren't exceptions to the rule, but by and large, it's systemic. And so we have to recognize that and move differently. And that's really what my goal is here, is just to help educate as many Black women as possible.
One thing I'm wondering if you touch on in your book, um, because sometimes, unfortunately, and this is sometimes a sad reality, is it's not always an us against them situation.
Girl, I know where you're going.
Sometimes it's an us against us situation. I have seen moments where Black men
Mhm.
align themselves against us.
Yes.
I have seen moments where Black women are sometimes so hard on us. I don't know if it's because we want to be the only.
Rule 4. That's rule 4 in my book. There can only be one. That's what I call it. So I grew up in like, do y'all know that show? Is it, am I dating myself? Because I grew up like, I'm a child of the 70s and I grew up watching Highlander. And the whole
Mhm.
premise was this like
I never
sci-fi
saw.
where like these immortal beings, like
Okay, I never saw Highlander,
the
but
whole purpose
okay.
was for them to, be the last one standing. And so
Yeah.
that's literally the tagline, there can only be one.
Oh,
And so when I wrote this, that's the rule that I had. I said, that's a lot, that's the mentality that we carry a lot of times, where there's a lot of infighting because it's like, oh, wait, there's already one Black person here. And I've established myself. And so I had a lot of situations where I'd be the new kid on the block, but there was like, it's almost like the seat was already taken. And so unless they were willing to like extend a hand, which very rarely that happened, they're saying, oh, wait, you're coming for my seed. So now I got to fight for it. And so there's a lot of competition. And sometimes they don't do it to your face, sometimes they do it behind your back. And so I talk about that. So it's not just like, oh, it's all the man is evil. No, we do this to ourselves too. And I
mm,
definitely talk about those instances. One of my mentors, who was high up in the organization as a Black woman, let me down in the most disappointing way and told me about it after the fact. And I'm like, well, you didn't stand up for me. All she told me was like, oh, yeah, I couldn't believe they were saying that about you. Well, did you say something? No, because she
right.
was trying to protect her position. And so that's the unfortunate trap that a lot of us are in, where we believe that there's only one seat at the table, but it's their table, right? And so if we stop believing that only one of us can have opportunities there, we could probably do something much more like progressive than what we allow because of that infighting. And it could be Black men and Black women, but I focus specifically on Black women because a lot of the unfortunate experiences that I had in that, as it pertains to that rule anyway, were at the hands
Mhm.
of Black women.
Mm. It sounds like we don't really have natural allies in corporate America. And
They're
so,
rare.
yeah, so, norm, if it's a young white guy, he knows his mentor ally is going to be another white guy. That's,
Yep.
and white women, from my experience, are not our allies in they really see us as competition and not in a good way. So, and then it sounds like, see, I haven't been in it, but I just observed just different situations, not even corporate, just like being on boards or
Yeah.
act, just operating, even as an entrepreneur, dealing with other people. Sometimes they will make assumptions
Hmm.
about you know they just they underestimate your intelligence a lot of times, or they'll insult you by asking you to do something that clearly you should be paid to do, but they want you to do it out of some sort of uh, altruism, or government, like you are a government agency. your time your time is
Yeah.
open. It's available to people who need it, and you shouldn't be paid for your expertise. So, and that that happens within our community and other people
Yeah.
who, we talk to. And it's we have challenges. A lot of times you just have to you can't let it stress you out because then you end up with health issues,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Because so I really feel for when Black women who are in corporate. I never wanted it. I saw some things early on. I worked one of my early jobs right out of college, well, soon after college, was actually at a Black consulting firm in DC
Hmm.
that was started by a Black woman.
Okay.
She was the president or the CEO. I forgot which one she was, but she started the business. And it ended up that her mother was from this little small town in North Carolina, and her mom dated my dad when they were in high school. It was weird. Anyway, that was like something I found out later. But she hired a white guy to be the face of the
Mm-hmm.
business because she felt like, and probably rightly so, he could get indoors and get at tables that she couldn't get at. And even though the company was called, and it doesn't exist now, it ended up folding, but it was called Wilson Hill Associates, and she was Hill. Patricia Hill was her name. But they would look to him,
Hmm.
for answers. Like she was just like almost like his secretary. It was her
Man.
business. So you can, I mean, whatever role we're in, it can be challenging. It's
Yeah.
just, we have to meditate, pray, have just to make the stress level, to
Yeah.
lower your stress level, because we're considered to be a threat in a lot of
Mm.
situations,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, and not we instead of looking at us as an asset to help build the corporation, some of the internally a lot of people will see us as a threat, I guess, for what they see as a limited opportunities. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but
We have just a few minutes
yes,
left. I did
yes.
want to see your thoughts, and I know you put this in your book. I know you did because I've only known you for what, about 20 minutes. I know you put this in your book. What are your thoughts on code switching?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
mentioned that in the comments, so I'm
Listen,
glad you brought it up.
it is something that it's unavoidable. I mean, I think that everybody can have their opinion on that. I know that some people believe in like bring your whole self to work. That's a trap. Okay? Like that is a straight trap. And I think that there's a difference. And I kudos to the younger folk, the braver folk that are going into corporate and saying, this is who I am and deal with it or don't deal with it. And I can make this my last day. Look, we grew up in a different time. So when we, like back in the day, when we grew up, we were always told speak properly. We weren't allowed to speak broken English or slang outside of the house. That would get your tail lit up by your parents. That's how, and plus my parents were from the Caribbean. So that was like, I wasn't even allowed to speak patois in the house. Like, no. Now you speak proper English, period. And so there's all of this pressure. So it was expected that you speak proper English when you are in a corporate setting or in mixed company. Either one, okay? Because that's also a thing. And so whether that is something that people feel like, well, we shouldn't have to do that, I promise you, they look at that. They might not say to your face. Now, I think now it's a little bit more insidious the way that they punish you for it. And so, yeah, they'll tell you bring your whole self to work, but they are keeping a list of individuals that are bringing their whole self and how much of their whole self they're bringing to work. And trust and believe it will come back to haunt you. It's not fair. And so that's the thing that I talk about in the book. I don't think it's fair that it's a game. I don't think it's fair that it's rigged. I'm just stating that it is.
It
It is,
is
but
real. Right.
it's factual. So I'm
Right.
just saying, look,
Yeah.
we know the minefields are there. We know the traps are there. I'm just showing you where they're at. That's all. I didn't put them there.
Right. And you're not saying these traps are great. These traps are wonderful. You're not you're not
They're
extolling the
garbage.
virtues of traps. You're telling people, look, there's a trap up ahead.
Right.
You're not giving it a
Look
value
out.
judgment, you know.
And also the
Yeah.
other thing I want to point out, because this has come up a lot, there's this not a divide, but a lot of discourse around introverts versus extroverts, and how, like, well, if you're the quiet one, leave the quiet ones be, and don't worry about them and all this stuff. Yes, I agree. I promise you, I am an introvert, although I may not look like it. Like, I that's just who I am. But the reality of it is, and this is rule number two, there are no spectators, right? So you can say, look, I'm just gonna keep my head down, my nose clean. I'm gonna mind my business. Whatever anybody else want to do, that's fine. I'm just gonna mind my business and do my little job over here. They're watching that. Oh, well, she's not a go-getter. She's,
Or a
you
team
know,
player, one of
she
those.
doesn't have initiative.
Mhm.
The number of
Okay.
times I was told by people, like, oh, I thought you were like the B word. And then I got to know you. And I'm sorry, what? Just because I kept to
People on
myself.
my job who I thought were total buttholes, and I got to like them after I got to know
But you
them.
don't tell
But
them to
it's
their face.
no, I had a white guy on my job who said it in a meeting. He said, "Yeah, when Rhonda first met me, I know she was like, who's this butthole?"
But you laugh with them. It's like you don't tell them. It's like,
I mean, I
and
was like,
so
"Yeah, I thought that," but I wasn't gonna tell him that at first.
and so that's what I mean. And so I think that there's this notion that the old rules don't apply. They're still very much there. Okay. Racism been around for a hot minute. It has outlived all of us. It has been here.
And
So
multiple generations of us.
we can
So
believe that these things don't exist and are real. They're real. They're still being used to get you out of your job. Like, people will wait. I've had coworkers who had one dust up with their supervisor, and I tell you, the person waited years until their right moment, and then got them the one time that they did something that they couldn't, like, walk
mm,
back, and use that thing to get rid of them. So they remember. They keep track. And I'm not trying to say this like as a paranoia thing, but they take notes and they do, take account of all these things. So we just have to move differently. And I hate that that's the case, but that's why it's a game.
yeah. Well, we're at the end of our time, and show your copy of your book cover one more time. Playing the game while Black womaning in corporate America.
Yes.
So get your copy. And Nicole is she didn't leave anything out. She left there's no holds bar.
Mm-mm.
So she tells the real deal about what to expect and how to avoid some of the traps and minefields.
Yes.
Nicole, you're my friend now. I'm going to look you up.
Oh, come find me, please.
Okay.
I'm everywhere. Just NicolasPalmer.com, blackwomaning.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Please do find me.
Yes. Yeah, we have to compare notes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Right.
Okay.
Bye.